Welcome back to Talky Nights. I'm your host, Justin Legaspi, your one and only podcaster, gamer, janitor, student, tambay sa kanto, and owner of a wide landscape in the wonderful land of my mom's garden. So tonight, we're going to talk about a very sentimental topic, the significant persons of my timeline. But before we start our program, here's a little message from our sponsor.
Are you reader bored with life? Do you have nothing to read on your personal library? Well, don't fret, because we got you covered. Here at Mark's Audiobooks, we have a plethora of literature at our disposal, which is specially read by our wonderful English teacher, the one and only Sir Mark. Sci-fi? We have it here. Dramas? That's our specialty. Romance? Is Taiwan a country? Of course. Well then, yes. We have that here too. All that with just a subscription of 250 pesos per month. Pretty nice deal, isn't it? So come aboard and be a listener of Mark's Audiobooks. Our voice, your enjoyment.
So once again, thank you for Mark's Audiobooks for sponsoring our program for today. Let us now proceed with the show. My significant others. They are mostly people close or who plays a big role in my life. They can be my friend, family, and even mentors I had in my years of study. I consider a lot of people significant to me. You might call it easy to get, but I really have a place in my heart for people who show their kindness and joy. So in this case, I'll use my personal timeline so we can have a more fleshed out progression of my significant people throughout the years. Let's start with the grandest and most memorable birthday party I ever had. My 7th birthday. December 27, 2 days after Christmas. I've always received gifts in Christmas that my uncles and aunties consider as gifts for my birthday too. So the stigma of having double gifts is really not the case. I've always heard the words, "Gift ko na rin yan sa birthday mo ha?" from them. I learned to understand that it is the most efficient way to do it, but I always hated it as a kid. But for one birthday, everything changed. Even after Christmas, a lot of my uncles and aunties still gave me gifts. Almost everything was also extra. The venue, the theme, the food, and even the cake. I had 7 uniquely designed Benten cakes that follow the alien it represents. I consider that day as perfect, and it's all because of my loving family, especially my mother and father. Now, we have my first communion. This was really a big turning point of my religious life. This made me feel one with my religion and one with the Lord. I've always treated church as a chore before, always wanting to skip it, make a reason not to go, and I never really listened to what was being discussed. But after this, it made me feel like I'm involved within my own religion, and that I'm one with one of the most significant person in my life, God. Then comes my elementary graduation, the last day I got to consider my childhood friends, my classmates, and the first home I ever outgrew. I graduated at the school I went to in kinder until grade 6. I met a lot of lifetime friends that up until now I still talk to, interact with, and spend some time with. I also had some kuyas and ates, and a lot of teachers I consider as mothers that helped me make the person I am today. I was the one that gave out the graduation speech. It was a real nerve-wracking experience. I'm pretty sure I forgot a bunch of lines there, but that's not what makes this speech special. In this speech, I got to thank a lot of significant people in my life, and I got the chance to bid farewell to some. This school was really my second home. I loved it a lot, and I'm glad that I had a chance to thank them for everything and gave them a proper farewell for all the times I spent within. I consider my junior high school life as one of the most important chapters in my life. This was my era of discovery and freedom, a phase where I first felt the world I'm living in. I literally could make a whole movie just tackling the shenanigans I had with my friends, and even expand it into a cinematic universe, because there's just so much happening at those times. Life was really good at those days. We don't have a pandemic roaming around, keeping us inside our homes. We can go out whenever we pleasure, and students went to school physically, attending flag ceremonies, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. classes, school events, and of course, the religious La Cuarta after class. We didn't have facials and face masks on our faces, and everything was just what you expect of a free and happy life. This is really the time of life I would go back into if I could. But even though that's impossible, I'm lucky to still have my friends up until now. They made my junior high school life a story I could proudly tell others. I was with good people who cared for me, even with all the kalokohan that we did. I was with the right people. I was with the right friends who I consider another part of my significant people. For me, everything went south starting with the eruption of Taal. We were on the way home when we noticed the sky turning into a dark hue. We thought there was a thunderstorm coming. It was not until we got home that we realized that it was actually Taal on its way to explode after several decades. It was terrifying, especially as you see that big smoke up in the sky. It makes you feel small and helpless. But not everything was lost on that day. We were from the airport before everything took place. We accompanied my father and bid him farewell, as he is to go back to Malaysia for work. We were blessed to have his flight flee the Philippines before the eruption happened, not like other passengers who got stuck on the airport. Then, after coming back from the travesty of Taal, we now face, up until now, COVID-19. This is really the dark times of the world. I really don't want to delve into details about the devastations and suffering it gave the world and its people, but in a nutshell, this is basically the Great Depression of the 21st century. I'm just thankful for the family I have that made me go through these hard times. Without them, I don't think I would have survived the current harshness of the world. My family is the reason why I'm still here. After everything that happened to this world, I'm really happy to be this lucky to have this family. So we know how the story goes on. After all the travesties, students are now stuck in front of their screens for education. We're now in the era of the new learning modality used by students for most countries, because some actually came back to traditional learning, and Philippines went. So at the start, I never really knew what to do or how can this really work? How can schoolworks be done? How do we participate in class? And how do we do our exams? This online learning has really been a hard change for other schools. But luckily, here in my present School of Matter, the Academy, especially with the great teachers we have, the hardest part of adjusting went more smoothly than expected. I was really astonished how all of our teachers were very understanding of the student situations, and they actually made online learning fun and educative. Now, I'm at the last year of senior high school and hopefully the last year of online learning. I don't think I'll be given a chance to deliver a speech on the graduation day. That's why I want to thank this school, the teachers listening to this podcast, and all the other teachers for making my online learning journey a real educative alternative to traditional learning. So these are the significant people of my life, and this is the end of our show. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. This is really more of a personal episode for me, and if you'd love more of this, drop a like and share it to your friends to let me know. And that concludes our program for tonight. Once again, this is Justin Legaspi of Talky Nights PH. Sleep well, my fellow night owls.